Hi, welcome to the second video in my series on preparing for the PSAT. I'm Nico, the founder and president of Scholar Power, a nonprofit with the mission of promoting academic excellence, recognizing, supporting, and empowering student scholars, and working to change the culture surrounding academic achievement. This video will focus on resources that you can obtain for free to help you prepare for the PSAT. I wanted to talk about this before any other topics, so that you can start tracking down resources before we delve further into PSAT topics. Before we get into the free resources, I want to address the many PSAT books that you can find for sale on Amazon and other places, and give you a word of warning. I would stay away from any books not published by the College Board, which is the organization that administers the PSAT and SAT. I recommend that you use materials from the College Board as your main study materials, and not use those by outside for-profit companies such as Barron's, Kaplan's, or Princeton Review, unless it's to supplement what you're already using from the College Board. In other words, I suggest that the College Board be your main source, and either avoid other sources or only use their strategies and not their sample questions or simulated practice tests. I found mistakes in every PSAT prep book that I've seen by those for-profit companies. They try to duplicate the types of questions used by the College Board on the PSAT and SAT, but they can't use actual PSAT or SAT questions since that material is owned by the College Board. So they do their best to simulate those types of questions, and sometimes they're way off the mark. Studying bad sample questions can do more harm than good in some cases, so I would stick to the official study material published by the College Board when it comes to practice tests and sample questions. As mentioned, if you want to use those outside sources for test-taking strategies, that can be helpful, but for true-to-life test questions, go straight to the source, the College Board. Their website is www.collegeboard.org. When you go to collegeboard.org, click on PSAT/MNSQT, and then click on Practice in blue under Section Topics. That will take you to a page with links to paper and pencil practice tests, sample questions, and personalized study with Khan Academy. The College Board has partnered with Khan Academy to provide free instructional videos, and this is a great free resource. On the Khan Academy website at www.khanacademy.org/SAT, you'll find tons of free material, all of it official and endorsed by the College Board, to help you prepare for the SAT. As I mentioned in my previous video, the PSAT is structured the same as the SAT, with the same sections and the same types of questions. It's just a little shorter. So, any work you do to prepare for the SAT is also going to help prepare you for the PSAT, and vice versa. Another free resource is material that the College Board sends to your high school guidance office for distribution to students. Don't make the mistake I did and wait for someone to give you these resources, or else you may never get them. Go and ask your counselor for them. I was absent the day they handed them out to juniors in August, and I found out about them a couple months later, in October, less than a week before the PSAT. There are two free booklets that the College Board sends to high school for juniors. The first one is the PSAT/NMSQT Student Guide, which is an overview of the test and what to expect. And the second one is a PSAT/NMSQT practice test. Make sure you get both of these booklets. Let's go back for a moment to the topic of prep books. As mentioned, there are some published by the College Board and some published by outside companies other than the College Board. If you want to use any of those prep books, keep in mind that you don't need to spend your money buying them. Most school libraries and public libraries have multiple copies. You may want to see if they're available at the library for free before you spend money buying them. Although the one disadvantage in this is that you can't underline or circle important points or write notes in library books, which is something that I like to do. But if you use the free resources on the College Board website, you may not see any need to use any other prep books. I'll get into detail on what I think is the best way to prep for the PSAT in future videos. But I would like to mention one thing that I suggest you do before you even begin reading about the PSAT or studying for it, and that's to take an official PSAT practice test. That's right. I suggest you go into it cold, without any studying, and do a full-length official practice test with the official timing to serve as a pre-test before you begin studying. You need to allow 2 hours and 45 minutes for it, unless you have testing accommodations, in which case you can get extended time. I'll go more into accommodations in a future video. You should do this practice test in a test environment, making sure you'll be free from distractions and not interrupted. You should set an alarm for each section to make sure you don't go over time, and do it straight through in one sitting with no breaks, other than the official 5-minute break after section 1 and 5-minute break after section 3. Again, I suggest you do this practice test before you begin studying so that it can serve as a pre-test to guide your study plan. I'll delve into this more in other videos, but I'll mention briefly that your scores on the pre-test, particularly your section scores, will tell you what areas you need to focus on, which is very valuable information, especially if you have limited time to study. You want to focus your studying on what will give you the most bang for your buck, rather than wasting time studying stuff you already have down, or studying stuff that there's no way you can learn in a short amount of time. I'll go into more detail on this down the road. A pretest is also a great way to measure your improvement after studying. Once I feel I've studied enough, I take another full-length practice test as a post-test, and if my score is improved enough for my pretest that I've met the goal I set, then I'm done and I can relax. If I haven't met my goal, then the second practice test can help me pinpoint what I still need to work on, and then I can narrow my studying to those types of questions only, and when I feel ready again, I can take another practice test to see if I finally reached my goal. We'll talk more about goal setting in the future. Your goals need to be ambitious, but realistic at the same time. As I mentioned in my previous video, I'll suggest action steps near the end of each video to help you prepare for the PSAT and SAT. Today's action step number 1 is a repeat of last video's action step number 1. Go to the College Board website and create your account, if you haven't already done so. The College Board administers the PSAT and SAT, and their website is collegeboard.org. Hopefully you've already done this, in which case you can jump directly to the next action step. Action step number 2. Go to your high school counselor to request the 2 free PSAT booklets from the College Board: the PSAT Student Guide and the PSAT Practice Test. Action step number 3. Take a full-length PSAT practice test and score your test and keep this info where you can find it later. This will serve as your pretest before you begin studying. Action step number 4. This one is optional, but if you have the time and energy after taking the pretest, then begin familiarizing yourself with the College Board website and the resources offered there, as well as the Khan Academy website. Don't worry about studying yet, unless you have to due to time constraints. I feel like you need a short break after the pretest before you begin studying for the PSAT. You have to be careful to pace yourself so that you don't try to do too much in too short of a time, or else you risk getting burned out. So, after you take the pretest, reward yourself for your efforts and take it easy for a while. So to recap, create your account at collegeboard.org, visit your counselor to get your free PSAT booklets, take a full-length practice PSAT as your pretest, and then take a break. If you feel like it, you can also start looking over the College Board and Khan Academy websites. If you have any questions or feedback, feel free to leave a comment. Or if you'd like to ask a question privately, you can email scholarpowerinfo@gmail.com. Watch for my next video, which will be an overview of evidence-based reading and writing on the PSAT and SAT. See you then.